Welcome to SportsbookReview.com. It's the Australian Open 2020, the first Grand Slam of the year. And if you joined us before in the other shows, we said that all the big guns and the women, they're all come here to play. And then bang, 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 they fell like dominoes. We saw Pliskova give up her chance of winning this Grand Slam when I thought she was quite tame against Pavlyuchenkova. We've got Spread, we've got James, we've got Snize. I'm going to say hello to Spread first. Spread, how are you? And when we saw Pliskova over the weekend, I thought that she just didn't change her game in-game and she just kept playing into Pavlyuchenkova's hands.
Yeah, and that was the case of what the common criticism of Pliskova has been, and that's the mental toughness. And I really felt when the other big guns, Serena, Osaka, even Wozniacki, all fell on the same day, and the attention shifted to her, she wasn't able to handle the pressure. She didn't put forward nearly the same performance that she had earlier in the rounds, so I had to ascribe it to the mental pressure getting to her, which is unfortunate because we know how much talent she has. So that will be something she'll need to work on if she's going to ever win one of these Grand Slams. But it was kind of disappointing because I felt the draw opened up for her quite nicely.
And yet on the men's side, all the big guns are there, and including our Wawrinka that a few of the boys went for early on. Spread.
Yeah, wasn't that a fun match last night with Wawrinka pulling it out in 5 sets over young gun Daniil Medvedev? Really fun, exciting match, and I really felt it was another match where experience shined through, and the fact that Wawrinka had so much experience in the Grand Slams, didn't really feel the pressure and was able to raise his game and elevate it, especially there in the last set when it really mattered, was the difference in the match. So it was a wonderful match and a wonderful story that we've had so many good storylines here at the Australian Open this year, and that was just another fun one for fans to enjoy.
James, we talk about storylines. They seem to change by the hour, never mind the day.
Yeah, they do. I mean, this has been, I'll tell you one that I've really noticed this week has been Zverev. It's the first time that he's actually looked comfortable at a slam. And in fact, I don't think he's dropped a set yet. He beat Rublev, who's been excellent recently, very comfortably yesterday. He beat Verdasco, who knocked him out of the French Open. I think it was last year or 2018, and he took him to bits. And this is the thing. We knew Zverev could do this. He's the kind of player where the story's always been, look, he's an up-and-coming young gun. He's exactly the kind of player that should be really pressing the top guys. And, of course, he's won a few Masters, but he could never do anything at the majors. So, maybe it'll be his major. Maybe the court should suit, so it's nice and quick for him. He should enjoy this. He clearly is. So, yeah, who knows? Maybe that'll be the big change.
Snize, we still have Nadal, we still have Djokovic, and we still have Federer. Don't know how long we're going to have Federer, but the men, you just cannot budge them top three.
I mean, it's going to be difficult, of course, and as we've talked about, our tournament is usually about these biggest names. But I think that changes tonight, because let's get right into the picks, because I have picked Tennis Sangren to give Roger Federer a real fight. And this may surprise some people, but Tennis Sangren is actually, he has the best win rate against the top 10 out of anyone that's not named the big three. He has a 4-2 record against the top 10, a perfect 4-0 record at the Australian Open. And he's just shown that he's extremely comfortable down here. He made the quarterfinals last year. Many thought that was a fluke after winning the title in Auckland. Well, he's come back here and he's done it again. So
can you run down?
He's playing great tennis.
Can you run down while I'm with you, can you run down all of your bets? Because obviously everyone at home will know now that they can sit back, put their slippers on, get themselves a coffee and a biscuit and relax into all your quarterfinal men's bets, please.
All right, sorry. So I've gone for Sangren plus 1.5 sets. Straight sets, no, that's the first bet. That's essentially plus 2.5 sets at plus 150. I've gone for Sangren plus 7.5 for plus 330. I've gone for Sangren money line at plus 700. And continuing on, I've gone with Zverev minus 1. She's at 3-7. Raonic Djokovic first set over 12.5 plus 235. And then I've gone with Team Nadal over 38.5 at -120. Do you want me to talk about them, or we just
No, I mean, listen, well, yeah, we can come back to them. I mean, you've got Zverev there on money line at 173, and then you went on. Obviously, Rafa couldn't keep up because you absolutely went on a whirlwind because you've gone to the opposite end. Raonic and Djokovic, please. Rafa, first set. Over 12.5 at plus 235, which means that you're expecting it to go all the way. And then the last one was Team and Nadal over 38.5 at -120. James, you've got a bet in this men's quarterfinal, and you've gone with Team and Nadal as well.
Yeah, so it's exactly the same idea as Snize. Toyed with the over bet. I think it's obviously fine. Very little difference in the price between the over bet and over 3.5 sets. So over 3.5 sets was -140. So to me, it's essentially one of those matchups where Team is one of the few players who's always been very comfortable against Nadal. Doesn't mean he beats him all the time. Obviously, he doesn't. But he's one of the few players who can keep with him on clay, and he's always enjoyed playing him. He likes trying to hit through him, and he'll be well up for this match. We saw at the end of last year that Team was clearly much more comfortable on the hard courts at the World Tour Finals, and that's translated through. He had a tough match against Bolt in the second round where he made life a bit hard for himself, but apart from that, Team's looked very impressive this week overall, and it's really about the matchup. I don't think that Team is necessarily great value to beat Nadal at 3.5, although I do think it'll be very close. They went to a fifth set tiebreak when they played at the US Open. That's the only hard court meeting. And the interesting thing about that to me is that Team actually bageled him early on and was quite dominant for a lot of that match, but just couldn't get it done. So again, I wouldn't be surprised by something similar where effectively Team is able to really push Nadal, but just isn't able to get over the line. And either way, I think -140 is a nice price. I really think it's likely that they trade sets.
Okay, so that was Team versus Nadal over 3.5 sets at -140. Please, Rafa, if you can just stick that up there so that we can have a little look. Team and Nadal over 3.5 sets at -140. There she blows. Okay, spread. You like Team and Nadal as well.
Yeah, and I just went with the over 40.5 at -105. I paid the extra juice because I basically think that these guys are right. We are going to see more than 3 sets here. I love this matchup, not only from a betting perspective, but from a fan's perspective. Dominic, Team, to me, and to many tennis fans, is the heir apparent on clay when Nadal retires. They have very similar games, beautiful ground strokes from Team, and another thing that I think makes them similar is their work ethics. Dominic Team is almost criticized sometimes for playing too much tennis, too many tournaments, but that's how much he loves the sport, working on his game and developing his craft. What I expect to see here today is it's going to be a fun battle from the grounds, from the baseline. Both guys like to use their topspin very well. They'll try and keep each other in defensive positions, but I really think that Dominic's Ascension will show here, not necessarily that he will win, but he is going to be able to push Nadal. James is right. In 2018, I made a living fading teams on the hard courts. And one of the biggest surprises in his development last year was his ability to play on hard courts in 2019, which I think, again, is a credit to how much he works on his game. So what we're going to see here is not yet, but we're getting close to the passing of the torch, even though it's not on clay, but he will eventually be the clay court king like Rafael Nadal is currently. And I think they're going to have a really fun match. Great contrasting styles, and I'm really looking forward to watching this one.
Okay, and now we know that we've got futures tickets with Wawrinka, but he's coming up. Zverev, who everyone thinks this could be his time.
Yes, and I went ahead and I took Zverev like the rest of the panel. And my reasoning here is we've seen this before in the Australian Open this week. 5 matches is great for the fans. It was a lot of fun to watch last night, but it's really hard, especially for the older players, to recover from. And while I do like Wawrinka's game, I think that here you get a chance with Alexander Zverev. He has not lost a set yet this tournament. He's playing some of the best tennis I've seen outside of his Masters wins where he rolls over the big three and looks really impressive. This is the best tennis I've ever seen him play at a Grand Slam. His serve has really been the difference here. Since he can rely on his serve, he's able to hold fairly easily, which puts so much pressure on his opponent to hold serve. Zverev has a very good return, and when he's serving like this, and he's very hard to break, it makes his break chances and his break opportunities that much more crucial and pressure-packed for his opponent. So I think this is going to be a case where you'll see the younger man who's in better form be able to overcome the wily veteran in Stan Wawrinka.
Okay, Snize, I'm going to come back to you and just pick, hopefully you'll put some meat on the bones of Raonic versus Djokovic. I know that you've gone for Djokovic on the outrights, but do you think that Raonic can actually cause him more than the problem of just taking the first set to a tiebreaker?
He potentially could. This is the best Milos Raonic has played for a long time now. He's been always supremely talented, but struggled badly with injuries, and we've barely seen him play a season fully fit. But he's been back to fitness now, and he's been among the more impressive guys in the tournament. We didn't really expect a lot from Raonic, but he's really shown that he's back to form. He has served an incredible percentage this week. He's won the most first serve points at 87%. And he's also served the most aces with 82 thus far in the tournament. And so he's still unbroken. And even for Djokovic, it's going to be an extremely difficult task to break him. And also his improved movement has also been one of the factors that's allowed him to dominate most of his games. And I think he's yet to drop a set as well. Really impressive in rolling through his opposition here. And most notably, Marin Cilic late time. And Djokovic has also improved on serve, still the best player in the game on hard courts in my opinion, and he has looked ridiculously good thus far. He's not peak Djokovic, but he's in-form Djokovic, and an in-form Djokovic is extremely difficult to beat. So I do think that the stage is set for first set tiebreak. I don't really see breaks here. Raonic might well steal a set, but I don't think he'll get much more than that. Djokovic still wins in 4 at worst.
Okay, James, so we're going to go on to the women's now, and without giving me your selection, because I'll come to you at the end for a roundup, who do you think now is the overwhelming favourite, or is it just Barty, no one else?
I mean, I wouldn't say that. I kind of, again, I shot myself in the foot, didn't I? I made the comment at the start of the week that I was probably going to regret saying this, but I thought it was going to be less underdoggy. Looked like I was going to be right, and then they all lost on the same night. So to me, it's the idea of there being an overwhelming favorite is just strange. I don't think that's going to be the case at all. Barty's probably the one playing the best. I've been quite impressed with Halep, to be honest. I think she's been playing really well. But to be honest, I mean, yeah, if you look at Pavlyuchenkova, she's another player who's played really well, could score a surprise. Pliskova wasn't great against her, as you kind of implied. But at the same time, this is what counterpunchers do to you. It's really hard if they get in your head to play past that. Yeah, I mean, Barty has to be the favourite, I think, but it's really tricky. There's a lot of people who could still win. Muguruza's looked a lot better this week than she has in a long time, you know?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things. Before I go on to Snize and talk about Muguruza, and when I was watching Pliskova, because I went to the beach for a few days, but it just happened to be that when Pliskova was playing Pavlyuchenkova, I had a bit of a headache, and I thought, I'll just go and have a lay down, give it one of those so that I could just sneak off. And it's from the get-go, Pavlyuchenkova was just loving the pace on the ball, and I'm thinking, just cut, slice, move her, just change it up, and she didn't. She kept hitting it in the zone, and Pavlyuchenkova, all credit to her, she grew as the game went on and absolutely loved the pace on the ball. Now, I'd love to
this is why it's so difficult for me, right? When you look at matches like that, what a counterpuncher does to you is they make you make that decision. If you're not able to hit through them, you're going to have to start playing their game. But Pliskova is not as good as Pavlyuchenkova is at that game. Yeah. So either way, you're not doing that well. Realistically, you need to try and find your range, but you've only got 2 sets to do that, 2 tie breaks, you lose both of them, all of a sudden a 50-50 match goes against you.
Yeah, well, we mentioned Muguruza. Snize, I'm going to come to you because you found value.
Indeed, and this standout performance by far in this tournament, in my opinion, is Garbiñe Muguruza. She has been flailing for form for a long time now. We have to remember she's twice a Grand Slam champion. She's won Roland Garros, she's won Wimbledon, and she's routinely done well here. She's made the last 16 4 times, also made the quarterfinals, so consistently been performing well here down under. She's now back after a disastrous coaching relationship with Sam Sumyuk. She's back with Conchita Martinez, who coached her to that Wimbledon title, and she's looked absolutely scintillating all year. She's on a 9-1 tier. She's only lost to Alexandrova, who was even better in Shenzhen. Came here under a bit of an illness doubt with a viral illness, but she overcame that and absolutely dismantled Elina Svitolina 6-1, 6-2 in the best match of the entire tournament from any player, in my opinion. And looking at her path now, she's going to face Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova, who's also been great, but she's off a grueling run against Angelique Kerber. Quoted in the interview, she said, "I lost that time several times over in my head," and that really epitomizes who she is as a player. She's mentally fragile. She's never been past the quarterfinal stage here in any slam, for that note. And I think that Muguruza's greatness and form will prevail. She'll then face likely Simona Halep. If she doesn't, and she faces Anna Kontaveit, that's even better. But Simona Halep, she has a perfect record against her on hard court, and when she's in this kind of form with this kind of weapons, you'd have to be in absolute peak form to beat her, and I don't think Halep is that. In the final, at worst, it's probably Ashley Barty with the home crowd, but she faces Petra Kvitova in the quarterfinals, so no guarantee she makes it there. So yeah, I think that Muguruza has a fantastic chance to win this tournament, and at this price, had to get involved.
Yeah, I think that's a bit of a toss, and to be honest, Ashley Barty and Petra Kvitova. I'm cheering on Kvitova. Always been one of my favourites. It'd be lovely to see her swan songs. I don't think she's going to be long in this game. Spread. Give me your two women's tips, please, in this quarterfinal.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I did go against Petra Kvitova here. I went ahead and I took Ash Barty, who's playing. Some people say that they don't see her in top form. I think she's doing great. Her movement is quite well. She mixes between the slice and the topspin backhand quite fluidly, which gives her opponents a variety of looks. It's going to be interesting to see how this match turns out. I think that we'll see a little more topspin from Barty here because I don't think she wants to slice into the left-handed Kvitova's forehand too often and give Kvitova a chance to move forward and control the position on the court. But Ash Barty, after losing to Petra Kvitova at this tournament last year, has turned it around and won 3 matches against her on hard courts. Once in Miami last year, which is a little slower, and then in Beijing and Shenzhen, which more simulate the conditions that we'll see here today at the Australian Open. So I really like Ash Barty to continue her run. She's been playing very well, not only against everyone, but against Petra Kvitova lately. And I really think this matchup favors her in the fact that she serves really well, and she's probably in the top 10, the best net player in the game, which gives her the variety to come to the net and put away points, put pressure on Petra. And one area where I think that Barty has the huge advantage is movement. She's going to be able to get to some of Petra's more aggressive shots, get those back, force Petra to really be on form and hit multiple winners just to hit 1 point. I really like Ash Barty here to an advance. And I know that Snize is really high on Muguruza, but I really think that the winner of this match wins the tournament.
I don't often do this, but I wrote down here, Ashley Barty's biggest weapon is her movement over Petra Kvitova, because obviously you don't want to just stick it in the hole for Kvitova to just slam it down the line and use her immense power. So yeah, I can see Ashley Barty. I mean, she's got all the weapons, home crowd as well. Tough game, but that's why you're getting minus 140 about the home favourite. Take me to your second game, please, Spread.
All right, and my second play is really just a value pick against the number. I'm not guaranteeing that Ons Jabeur will be able to beat Sonia Kenin, but I really like the matchup, and I think this is the biggest misprice on the board. I think this match should be around plus 140 tops. I found plus 195 this morning. I think Phil was a great find. Let's go ahead and look at Jabeur and her ascension on the tour this year. We've always known that she's had talent. She's kind of struggled with fitness and her mental attitude. Well, what has she done? She's brought her husband with her on tour, who's really accelerated her commitment to conditioning and fitness. He's kind of taking over as a de facto just fitness trainer. No tennis strategy, nothing like that, but just making sure that she's in shape. And we've seen it in her ability to do better in these longer matches, which was a weakness that she had in the past. Now let's go ahead and look at the individual matchup. She went ahead and she beat Carolina Wozniacki, whose game I would say is the most similar to Kenin's of any player on the tour. In fact, we've joked around and called Kenin Woz 2.0 because of how similar they are, not only in their defensive fighting styles, but in their attitude and refusal to give up when things go down. So I do like Kenin from a mental standpoint, and I would not be surprised if she advanced. But I think that Ons Jabeur, she has a more diverse game. She's able to do more things with the ball rather than just basic attacks. She varies her pace very well. She will mix in slices with her topspin forehands, and her serve, she really relies on placement. She's not a banger on the serve, but when she does place her serve well, it's just as ineffective as a 100-mile-per-hour serve. So while she might not dial up the numbers on the speed gun, she can still be quite effective serving. Would not be surprised to see Kenin advance, but at plus 195, I think the books completely flubbed this price. I'm going to grab the value and see if Jabeur can continue her dream run here at the Australian Open.
Two other markets that look very interesting in this matchup is the over in games and the over in set spread.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised to see that. We have two players that we know are going to fight till the end, and I can see it also going, to a tie breaks for just the over in the games, just because we have two players that just aren't going to give up here. I can serve. I'm not necessarily too high on it as far as a WTA weapon, but I definitely say it's above average, and she can hold. She does take advantage of opponents' mistakes, and which allows her to hold serve fairly easily. So I'm fine with the over. I wouldn't take an under here. I think it's over or no play if you're looking at the total in this match.
Okay, Snize, we mentioned Halep. You like Halep?
I definitely do here in this matchup. I think that the guys have been talking a little bit about it. That Halep has been playing good tennis, and I think she does definitely have a good shot to make this quite an easy one. And that Kontaveit is an extremely inconsistent player. She's a powerful player. She is exceptionally gifted over both wings with her ball striking, and she showcased that this week with a string of impressive performances. But she's also shown the inconsistencies, like really, really struggling to Sara Sorribes Tormo, one of the worst WTA hardcourt players. So she is really up and down, and this is a great matchup for a player like Halep. Her dogged defensive style, her counterpunching style, she can really soak up everything that Kontaveit throws at her, all the pace and all the power, and grind out points in the longer rallies. Kontaveit was just put through the ringer by Iga Swiatek in a match where she was down. Or sorry, I think you should even pronounce it Swiatek. Anyways, she was down a set and a break twice and could well have lost that match, but finally came through, and I think that might take a toll here. Halep hasn't really been challenged apart from almost losing a set to Jennifer Brady. She looked assured in taking down Elisa Mertens, a really talented player in straight sets, and I think we'll see something similar here. I think that she will just neutralize the Kontaveit game and run away with it.
Okay, and Ashley Barty and Petra Kvitova, you fancy it's not plain sailing for the favourite?
No, I have to say that I'm a bit worried here about the spread selection. Barty may well win, but I think it's going to be tough as nails. Petra Kvitova just relishes these conditions, these core conditions set the ball up perfectly for her powerful serve and her powerful ground strokes, and she's really been able to hit through the court and hit people off the court. We talked about a matchup against Katerina Alexandrova, one of the more informed players on tour, that she could maybe bring a fight. Well, Kvitova just took her to bits in straight sets. Also an incredibly impressive performance. While I do agree with spread that Barty has the advantage of over movement, I think that she'll struggle to get to the Kvitova serve, which has really been on point thus far in the tournament. If you look at the matchup between these two players, it's often been long serve dominated or both. And I think we'll see an equal type of match here. Essentially, this is the same bet as over 2.5 sets, but we get a significantly higher price going for this over. Instead, we essentially only need 28 games. So a 6-3, 6-3, 6-4 result in either direction, and a 2-1 victory would get us over this line. So I think we go the distance, and I think the sets are decently long because of the prowess on serve of these players.
Okay, well, if I was to put my little head on like I normally do and I pick the bones out of all of you, we could go with Barty to win 2-1 or Kvitova to win 2-1. Now that takes me kindly on to you, James, where you can wrap all of this up with your final selection.
Okay, so again, exactly the same idea as what Snize said. That is a nice bet. I like that bet. I think I'm just looking at the head-to-head now. I think it's come in all but one of the times that they've gone to 3 sets. So you can do the maths, but it's definitely a decent approach. I've just gone for, over sets. So it was plus 170. That's what we could get in the UK, but that's a pretty standout line. Plus 140 is much more widely available. So in essence, you look at the last 6 meetings, 4 of them have gone the distance, including last year, twice last year, 2 out of 3 last year. So it's a classic clash of styles. It's really hard for me personally to predict exactly who's going to play it the best on the day, but I'm pretty sure that both of them will have their moments. I think they're both going to be able to play their game and be really pushed in that game. Obviously, as we alluded to earlier, you've got Barty, who's a bit more defensive, perhaps, a bit more movement orientated, a bit more of a counter puncher. And then Kvitova, who is one of the tallest players on tour. She's a left-hander with a massive serve, very heavy ground strokes. I'm with you on this one, Flash. She's one of my favorite players, always has been. Of course, she had an issue with a knife injury and all of these kind of complications. Yeah, her left hand. But she seems to be in excellent form. She has been for a little while now. And yeah, I think this is going to be an excellent match. I'm really expecting a very high quality performance here. I could see either of them pulling away for a set if the other one can't find their form. And that's why, I'm just as happy with the over games, with Snize's bet, the over sets. All of them are good value, in my opinion. I think any of them could make sense.
Yeah, it's an absolutely cracking matchup. And I think that this Grand Slam is the one where people want to hit the ground running. And so far, nearly everyone has come to the party. We started with the futures last week. What are you holding and where may you see some value, James?
So for me, I'm not a huge fan of late stage futures. I tend to feel like the value goes pretty early. I'll just pull up some prices now. So I think on the men's side, obviously, we're holding Wawrinka still from the start of the tournament. We also had Medvedev, who Wawrinka beat, and so I'm very glad I went for what was almost a cover on Wawrinka, because he was in the same quarter as Zverev, as Medvedev even. He now plays Zverev, and that was actually, ironically, at the start of the week, that was one of the big motivations for the bet. I wouldn't say so now, because Zverev's playing very well, but, hopefully he collapses, who knows. But I'm looking at the prices now. Unless you want to take a risk on like the 250 to 1 on Tennis Sangren, the prices for me are pretty accurate. Djokovic still a pretty heavy favorite now, odds on. Rafa's probably the only one I'd question, but then he's been so good on the hard courts comparatively. Dealt with Kyrgios very well last round. He had a couple of very high pressure moments, and I think the new improved serving really is helping him. Federer, I think I wouldn't be surprised if Snize is right and he gets pushed around a little bit by Sangren, but more so for me, in this current form, I'm not sure that I really see him beating Djokovic. So, for me, the outrights are priced about right. I wouldn't want to get involved right now.
Okay, Snize, you're on Djokovic, and on the female side, you're going to go for Muguruza.
Yeah, so like James said on the men's, really don't see much. But you could perhaps, if you have access to that market on Bet365, go for Rafael Nadal and Novak Djokovic, name the finalist market. I think that's a decent look. Djokovic, I don't really think he'll be trouble with Federer in the semifinals, and he should take care of Raonic, so he should be in the final. Rafa Nadal should be able to get over the line against Team, and will then get. Actually, you might even take a long shot on Zverev and Novak Djokovic at plus 550.
Why would you say that when the boys are holding big tickets on Stan Wawrinka? Don't be hexing them. They're sitting there at like 66
yeah, sorry
to 1.
about that. Yeah, that's great value, but I just think that he came into this tournament struggling a little bit with the viral illness. Had to go puke 2 times, I think, versus Seppi. 5-setter there. Had to go through a 5-setter with Medvedev. He's going to be put through the absolute limit against an in-form Zverev. And if he should come out of that, I don't think he has any gas left. But yeah, definitely might take a shot on, the big ones, the boring one, the boring final at plus 162. On the women's, yeah, obviously Garbiñe. That's my look for now.
Okay, Spread, your Barty and your Djokovic, man.
That's right. Yeah, I lost Medvedev last night, which was fine because it was a great match. But as far as futures advice for maybe a listener who doesn't have one in their pocket yet, like I said, I think the winner of the Barty Kvitova match is going to win the tournament. So you might have some fun, and you've listened to opposite points on the show today on why you should take Kvitova or why you should take Barty. But rather than just taking these 2 young women to win their individual match, go ahead and put a future on the whole tournament. You could probably get Barty at 3-1 or Petra at 4-1, and I think that you've got a great chance to cash that. So I know tonight's going to be a tough match to choose, but if you do decide to come on a side, either Barty or Kvitova, you might as well go for that future and not just the individual match.
That leads me perfectly into, as you know, I've been saying about the subscribe, the press the button, ring the bell so that we notify you whenever any content, any video is going to be on so you don't miss it. I said to you last week at 60,000 we've hit. And now we've hit 61,000. And obviously a big number of that came from you watching these types of videos. So please spread the word, keep watching. And if you haven't subscribed, then please do so. It means a lot to us and it'll mean a lot to you because the content will increase and it gives us confidence in making sure that we give you everything you want. This gives me a chance to say, Snize, top man, thank you very much. Next time, don't be running through your plays so quickly, please. Spread, keep up the great work. Good luck with Barty, good luck with Djokovic. And James, just keep doing what you do. You just sit there, you just keep order, and just keep ticking over those winners, my lad.
Cheers, Flash. Backhanded
So
compliment
that's
as
James,
always.
that's Snize, and that's Spread, and that's the Australian Open 2020, the first Grand Slam of the year. It always gets us off to an absolute flyer. All the big guns are there in the men's. With the women's, we could see another first-time winner of a Grand Slam event. Well, I'll see you on Wednesday when we go through La Liga, Bundesliga, Serie A, and there'll be an added Australian Open preview as we look through to the semi-finalists. And then on Thursday, it'll be Premier League punters. Looking forward to that. FA Cup last weekend. Let's get back to business. See you soon.